Hello everyone, this is Pro Guang and I'm from TaxClinicAccounting. We offer tax filing services for individuals and comprehensive accounting and tax solutions for businesses right here in Montreal. Today, once again, we have a client from TaxClinicAccounting with us. Since she hasn't used any other services, we'll mainly be talking about her experience with TaxClinicAccounting. As usual, I'll speak quite naturally and conversationally. For this segment, I'll refer to her as Jay. Hello there, Jay.
Yes, hello.
Please feel free to just speak openly and comfortably. From what I know, you've been doing your tax filing with us since around 2019, correct?
Yes, that's right.
But, well, you weren't using our services previously, so a direct comparison might not be fair. However, I'm curious if you could elaborate on what initially brought you to discover TaxClinicAccounting and ultimately prompted you to utilize our services.
Indeed, it has been approximately a year and a half now since I first arrived in Canada. I kept hearing that I had to do a tax filing after being here for a year, so I had received various recommendations from several places. However, a trusted acquaintance of mine, whom I know well, specifically recommended this particular TaxClinicAccounting very highly.
TaxClinicAccounting?
Yes, and that person was truly a trusted acquaintance, someone I could genuinely rely on. They were also very well connected and had a lot of experience. And it so happened that, though I had not yet done so, that trusted individual had already meticulously compared various tax accountant offices and individual accountants. After carefully considering all these available options, they ultimately chose TaxClinicAccounting themselves, and then, with utmost confidence and personal assurance, recommended it to me.
So you yourself didn't know, but a trusted acquaintance, someone who was well connected, did.
Yes,
Had already compared all the existing service providers and then chose TaxClinicAccounting based on their recommendation. I presume they also used the service themselves?
that's right.
Oh.
But another thing that was really significant was, as international students, we might not be fully informed, but I heard citizens or permanent residents here, people who have been living in this country for a long time, saying that they've consistently trusted and utilized TaxClinicAccounting services for more than a decade. And after that,
Well, that information isn't entirely accurate. Since 2015, that's 6 years, quite a long time. But 10 years could also be correct, because even if they came then, I went back and dug through all their past filings. Many people have had me handle over a decade of tax filings. So that's probably what they were talking about. When they said they entrusted me with 10 years' worth, that's likely what they meant.
But that was a huge factor. I thought, if the locals approve, then there's no need to doubt or question anything else. I simply assumed that to be true and reached out to you immediately without any further investigation.
I truly appreciate all the recognition, but being human, I do make errors occasionally, and I admit that freely. I also always strive to maintain a humble attitude, and of course, there might be some clients for whom the service just isn't the right fit. Those cases exist, so it's not a 100% perfect solution, but I do try to handle things from the client's perspective. However, what was your initial experience like when you first started using it? How was that whole process initially?
Well, when that person recommended you, they promptly provided me with your contact details. So reaching out and communicating really presented absolutely no difficulties whatsoever. However, is it okay to say this?
Yes, please do. This is an authentic user review, so if you mention any drawbacks, I'll definitely address them.
When my trusted acquaintance first introduced me to you, they actually mentioned that you seemed a little intimidating, which consequently made me incredibly nervous from the outset. I was hesitant about calling at that hour, and even when I first reached out to you for the initial contact. So anyway, I was incredibly anxious initially, and I remember asking a lot of questions, feeling quite nervous about it all.
Intimidating?
Yes,
No. How can you use a service feeling nervous and tense about the person providing it? Our aim is to provide a service that ensures our clients experience ease and comfort. Yes.
well, yes, but at the end of the day, I was much more anxious than necessary, mostly because of my own overthinking, but it turned out not to be as bad as I had anticipated it would be.
Was I really that scary, or did I come across as intimidating?
To be honest, you were a little intimidating, but not as much as I expected.
So, a little intimidating, but not as much as expected, but I will acknowledge this. I have even spoken about it in other videos.
Oh, true.
In the early days, I was probably the epitome of kindness. I'm sure of it. But after getting worn down by various challenges, there were times when I had to be quite firm with clients, especially when they clung to things that weren't genuinely beneficial or kept inquiring about unverified hearsay, which just took up too much time. So at certain points, I had no option but to be resolute. Hmm. In those situations, even if I have to be firm, it's about ensuring the client fully comprehends by providing thorough explanations. That is my methodology. So that's an aspect I certainly need to improve, and I am indeed in the process of improving. I shall soon be reborn as the ever-friendly Pro Guang, nevertheless.
Yeah.
But I'm not scary.
Oh. But at the beginning, you direct me saying, please prepare these materials, outlining it precisely as such. And I was very curious, why is this needed? What's this document for? I had various questions like these. However, asking about each one individually felt quite awkward at the time, but as time progressed, I came to the understanding that, that's precisely why you inquired about that particular matter. It only became clear to me much later on.
I told you at the beginning, you'll remember. I said there are things you'll naturally understand as we go through the process. Because when I'm getting ready for tax filing, this is what I require. Of course, you'd want to understand everything, asking why is this truly necessary? What's its purpose? Yet, as I provide explanations, conduct interim check-ins, and offer simple year-end consultations, time inevitably passes by.
Yeah.
Thus, if you initially had about 10 questions, 8 of them will be resolved automatically as a year or two passes. In fact, nearly 7 of them are typically settled within the very first year. Then, later on, I only need to address the 2 or 3 questions that are still unanswered. So that's why I approached it that way. Oh, and if you continue to have any lingering or unresolved questions, please do not hesitate to ask. We are consistently striving to enhance communication and engagement with all of our valued clients. That's why we'll be discussing the tax clinic accounting solution UVT with our valued premium clients. I try to provide more details, but as I've mentioned before, a great number of issues are automatically resolved. It would be beneficial for you to understand this aspect. So, my final inquiry for you is this. What was your experience like with the process of managing your affairs? Also, if you were to candidly elaborate to others why selecting tax clinic accounting would be more beneficial, could you please take 2 or 3 minutes to articulate your honest thoughts on both your experience and any potential cautionary aspects to consider when utilizing tax clinic accounting services?
Yes, uh, I think that's precisely it. The most favorable aspect of the entire experience was, after I submitted my application, you mentioned that the tax filing was finished. However, truthfully, there was no communication from either the provincial tax agency or the federal government. So I found myself in a position where I wasn't quite sure if everything was handled correctly or what the situation was. I had been receiving various mail correspondences and just setting them aside without much thought. But then, right in the middle of all that, you sent out that crucial interim review email. It was an exceptionally well-timed and perfectly placed interim review, exactly what I needed to see. It explained how things were progressing and that one part was already filed and that I should have received it. You would confirm these kinds of details and clarify how things would proceed from there, because you took the time to check in and clarify things in the middle of the process. That really put my mind at ease and helped me to trust them completely. So I thought that was incredibly helpful. However, for me, initially you handled my tax filing, and then midway through the process, the federal government conducted a recalculation and subsequently sent me a notice regarding it.
Oh, was that the case? Yes, indeed. And after going through that whole process and submitting everything, I actually received an even larger tax refund than expected, which was a very pleasant surprise. That's right. In such situations, we naturally take care of it. Yes. So I just had this distinct feeling, this undoubtedly is all thanks to the tax clinic accounting. Well, I hadn't done anything particularly unusual or specific, yet I received an email stating that my taxes had been recalculated, and as a result, I would be receiving a significantly larger tax refund. So, those aspects and processes were indeed quite beneficial and incredibly reassuring to me. Some individuals frequently bring up that exact point. The work of a tax accountant or the individual handling your tax filing holds considerable significance. When tax regulations are properly applied, in certain cases one might even qualify for a tax refund. Otherwise, it could be money that would have been completely lost or ignored. And when I was first introduced to Pro Guang, When I was first introduced to him, I was told he was someone who guides as many clients as possible to receive numerous benefits and all the advantages they're entitled to. Yes, that's absolutely right regarding the introduction indeed. These kinds of experiences also build a strong sense of trust. And should you, by any chance, find yourself with questions, concerns, or even some doubts about any of these tax-related matters, I would genuinely suggest that you consider seeking a consultation with Pro Guang at least once. It could be quite beneficial. I believe many aspects of your concerns could be thoroughly addressed and resolved, which is why I would also like to wholeheartedly recommend him. Thank you so much, Jay, for your kind words and for being willing to recommend our services. Frankly, whether a recommendation actually brings in new business isn't what's important. I deeply value your positive and thorough assessment of the tax clinic accounting, along with the mindset you hold regarding our services. Then, since you've been using tax clinic accounting, have you ever felt any mental anguish or stress regarding tax-related issues or the handling of the process?
I don't believe I've personally had such an experience as of yet.
You mean you're stressed about Tax Pro himself, right?
Uh, it's gradually getting much better.
It's getting better, right? You've got the wrong idea because your impression is mistaken. I have faith your mistaken impression is just that. The truth, you see, eventually reveals itself as time passes. You've been with us for a year now, haven't you?
Yeah.
File for 2 or 3 more years, you'll see what kind of person Tax Pro truly is. He's a scary person. Scary. That you can't even directly meet him. Yes, I'll stop here. Thank you for your opinion. Lastly, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No. The specific reason why I decided to choose tax clinic accounting again this year is
Right, you chose us again.
yes, absolutely. I'm truly grateful for your ongoing assistance, and I'm confident that whenever I face new questions or challenging situations, I can always count on you. How can I express this? I'll approach you with a much more relaxed mindset from now on.
Yes, please feel free to reach out with a comfortable heart. I wonder how someone could have conveyed such a mistaken impression, making me seem like a frightening individual. I see, it's fine. Everything will be included, unedited. So that's it. You know each other and have had different experiences. Tax Clinic Accounting strives to provide friendly service for parts that the client might not understand. We endeavor to clarify the situation, assisting them in understanding. Please understand that aspect. This has been PRO Guang from Tax Clinic Accounting. Jay, I really appreciate you taking the time to write this review with me today.
Yes, thank you too.